Freaky Friday. Good rising, grand rising, grand rising. I want to speak life into your life. I want to speak happiness. I want to speak joy. I want to speak excitement and fiery feistiness. I want you to be happy, baby. And all you're getting, get some understanding, get some happiness. I want you to look in the mirror and say, I love you. I want you to hug yourself. I want you to love yourself. I want you to look in the mirror, look yourself in the eye and say, I love you. And actually mean it. It might feel a little uncomfortable. It might be a little uncomfortable for you to look yourself in the eye and be like, I love you. That's a little crazy. This don't feel too comfortable for me. I want you to be in love with who you are, where you are right now. Everything happens for a reason. Every choice we make, every single decision we make governs who we will be tomorrow. Everything you do today makes a difference for tomorrow. And sometimes it's instant. Sometimes it's so instant that karma hits you immediately. Good rising, good rising, good rising. Are you up? Are you waking up? Is your third eye waking up? Are you in your feelings? Because I am. I'm all the way in my feelings. I feel like I don't know how I feel. It just feels amazing. It feels good. It feels like standing on top of a mountain that you just climbed, whether it was a Blue Hill mountain that took you 30 to 45 minutes, or whether it was a Monadnock type mountain that took you 5 hours to go up. When you hit the peak of that mountain and you see everything that you've overcome, you see everything that you are now looking down upon when you just spent 45 minutes to 5 hours to, depending on if it's any of the presidential mountains, sometimes days to climb up that were looking down on you. Those peaks were looking down on you. For you to now be looking down on all of the things that you thought were going to beat you. I really enjoy hiking. I really enjoy camping. And I'll be going hiking soon. But in my recent hike, it was probably one of the hardest things I ever did because I did it by myself. I didn't have that team to push me. So shout out to Titi Dala. She is the hiker in the family, the yogi in the family. And today I feel as if I am on the peak looking down over the valley. Shivanya. That's how I feel right now. Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. There's so much going on as far as community is concerned. I really care about us. I care about what there is. Hey, Denzel. Shout out to Dizzy. I really care about the things that we have to contribute, how awesome we are, how amazing we are, how gifted and talented we are, how we make something out of nothing always, and find ways to make ends meet. I was listening yesterday to my version of reading, and I stumbled across some statistics when it came to suicide rates and how in the Black community, how no matter how poor we are, how much poverty we have in our neighborhoods, as far as suicide rates are concerned, it seems as if it's a problem in the upper class. Not to say that we do not have suicide, but our numbers of suicide, our statistics as far as suicide is concerned, are significantly lower than our counterparts. And I think that's a testament to how resilient we are, how magnificent we are, how we'll get over this. I don't know if it's just a little bit of prayer. We're over here praying, believing that something will give or something will change, but whatever it is, good rising. You are climbing up that mountain. It is not easy. It is hard. It hurts. You're going to continue every single day to struggle, to learn how to control yourself, control your emotions, control how you feel about situations, control how you react to things you have no control over. Every decision that you make. I'm feeling like Motivational Monday on Freaky Friday, y'all. I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. I want to give a huge shout out to the Boston Juneteenth Committee. They recently honored me with an award, a community award for the work that we do, because this is not about me. This is about us. The Boston Juneteenth Committee in the Museum of the National Center of Afro-American Artists, a.k.a. the Big Head Museum. Before the blaxploitation of the movies from the 70s, there was a man called Adam, a black film classic starring Sammy Davis Jr. and an all-star cast that included Cecily Tyson, Ossie Davis, Louis Armstrong, Morgan Freeman, and Lola Falanla. I know I butchered that. Correct me, baby. 617-282-0062. Poverty builds character, said Dizzy. Give us some new music, boo. I think this is absolutely amazing. A man called Adam, a famous trumpet, finds himself unable to cope with the problems of everyday life. This was an all-black cast. An all-black cast from back in the day. This is going to be Thursday, August 3rd at 6 p.m. is when doors open. They'll probably start at 7 a.m. because you know y'all be coming late sometimes. At 300 Walnut Ave, the suggested donation is a suggested donation. If you have, give what you have. If you don't, make sure you send somebody to offset your cost because the work that they do is absolutely amazing and it's pretty spectacular. They have historical relics in that building and it just, once you walk in there, it feels good. It feels amazing. That art just speaks to you in ways that you never thought art could. I want to give a huge shout out to the African American Firearm Safety Course, not Black Guns Matter, but a spin-off that African American Firearm Safety Course, hosted by Solomon Firearms Training, LLC, and Wake Up with TaylaAndre. It is going to be at the Lower Mills Lodge on Washington Street in Dorchester. And all that information is currently on Facebook. This is open to the first 50 people, and then this will be continuously ongoing. If you don't get in the first 50, then we'll go ahead and get you in with the next 50 or the 5,000th 50th group, because I think it is important for us to get our LTC license. I think it's important for us to receive a license to carry or a firearms identification card. So we will be offering 2 types of firearm courses: the National Rifle Association student classes with specific programs that provide certificates that you would need for your LTC, and the NRA instructor course. So if you feel like you have everything down pat, you have your LTC, and you want to teach other people, then you can sign up for that as well. I'm really excited because, Killer Mike said, you can't say you're ready for a revolution and you don't know how to fire a gun, you don't know how to load a gun, you don't know how to fish, you don't know how to hunt, you don't know how to plant food, you don't know how to harvest food. How are you ready for a revolution? And I think he's absolutely right. We do not. We think guns are bad. Guns kill people. Well, technically, people with guns kill people. And I am a Second Amendment sister, not on paper, but in heart. And I truly believe that we should all have our LTC. Your right to bear arms is in the Constitution. Please use it. Please use it. Once upon a time, everything in the Constitution was supposed to be against you. It's not for you. It was written when you were not a person. Well, right now, you're still not really considered a person. You don't believe me? Go read. But the Constitution still applies to you nonetheless. Use it to your benefit. Reports say Senator McCain says that U.S. leadership was better under Obama. I think this is hilarious because didn't you just come out of surgery? Didn't you just come out of surgery for a brain tumor? Having state-of-the-art insurance, state-of-the-art doctors, keeping you alive when people are out here dying over minimal diseases. Can't get any type of health care. Thank you. Thank you for your vote. And you want to talk about we had better leadership. We had better leadership when you were underneath the knife. He is 80 years old. 80. And came out of surgery just so he can vote against millions of Americans having health care. Today is a historical day, the burning of Negros Smith in Greenville, Texas. I need to give a huge shout out to the Black Holocaust, the Paris Horror, and Legacy of Texas Terror. This is an ongoing conversation from one of our former guests, E.R. Bills. E.R. Bills is a white man out of Texas who did a little digging, did a little history, and found that Texas history was horrific, to say the least. If you take a minute and study the turn-of-the-century image of the large white crowd gathered around the smoldering remains of a young black teenager, his name was Ted Smith, and a few things jump out at you if you take a look at this photo, which is currently on my Facebook, TaylaAndre. First, most of the crowd is adult male, but there are also some young boys. Burning a black man at the stake was a big event in Texas, so of course grown men would take their sons to witness it. It was still a bucket list spectacle in much of the South. Second, there is a lone figure who doesn't belong standing along the side. It cowers in the lower left-hand corner of the image. White men and boys are standing and watching and walking around the site, the grotesque site of Smith's execution. They don't seem repulsed or appalled at all. They are enjoying themselves. But the lone figure in the lower left-hand corner of the image stands with its tail between its legs. It is a dog. It was a teenage master consumed in the flames, or was it the odor of the human flesh unsettling? The picture may not tell us 1,000 words, but the lynching postcard image gives us one word to describe 1,000 fathers and sons, animals, except for not to insult the dog in the left-hand corner of the photo. Again, Taylaandre. Smith and his family worked as laborers for H.R. Delancey on his farm near Clinton, just 8 miles southwest of Greenville in Hunt County. According to oral accounts, a relationship sprang between Smith and Delancey's 15-year-old daughter, Viola, and they carried on in secret. When Viola's parents discovered the courtship, they apparently pretended to be unaware until they could catch the two and cry foul. On July 26th, the circumstance presented itself, and Mr. and Mrs. Delancey had Smith charged with criminal assault. Smith and the law enforcement personnel and groups of enraged citizens set out in pursuit. On July 27th, Smith was spotted in Cottle Creek Bottoms near Clinton, but managed to escape. Later, when Smith was captured by 2 police officers at a nearby farm around dusk, he was quietly picking a banjo and insisted he had done nothing wrong. Smith's captors correctly assumed that their chances of avoiding vigilantes would be en route to the county jail would be very slim. They decided to take Smith deep into the backwoods and lay low. The decision was a great one because by 6 p.m., the returning search party had formed a mob outside of the county jail where milling around public square, eager for the news. Long story short, because this is a story, E.R. Bills tells you the whole story. Step by step, he does his due diligence, from oral accounts to written accounts to the postcard itself. This was July 28th, 1908, the burning of Negro Smith in Greenville, Texas. And there's hundreds of men here watching the burning of a man, and I don't know, but I had 2 C-sections. The 2 C-sections that I had needed to heal. I don't know if you've ever had a flesh wound, like an actual flesh wound that needed to heal. That stuff smells disgusting. Disgusting. I don't care how clean I kept my C-section wound. I don't care how much I slaved it with everything. It still had a foul odor. I could not imagine what a man's burning flesh would smell like for you to want to bring your son to this spectacle called Burning the Negro, where these postcards used to sell for $1 each. TaylaAndre. This photo is on my Instagram as well as my Facebook. And this leads me to 2017 Community Action Meeting Solutions to Violence. I want to remind the listeners who may not be familiar that studies have confirmed that your DNA has memory. Your DNA remembers your ancestors. All that trickle down. So my traumas, my highs and my lows are engraved in my DNA and have been passed down to my children. And then will be passed down to my grandchildren. I am the grandchild of those whose DNA resides within me. What were their traumas? What were their highs? What were their lows? Community action meetings, solutions to violence. When you go back 100 years, violence is not new. Tomorrow, Saturday, from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at Dudley Branch, Boston Library, 65 Warren Street in Roxbury, come together with community to develop and present solutions to violence. Move with us as they take and develop policy and demand implementation and tangible results. Come prepared to listen, to contribute, to work. Bring pen and paper, laptop, and any plans and proposals to combat violence for our community. If you have any ideas that you remember, any idea, you know, when you look at something and you say it, but that's not the word you meant to say. If you have any ideas, if you think that you can curb violence, or what if we did this, or could this be possible, please bring those ideas. Nah, Tayla, my idea is stupid. Don't say that. If you can't make it, send an email. There's information on here. Shout out to Jamal Crawford. Send it to blackstonian@gmail.com. Or is it blackstonian.com@gmail.com? Call 617-297-7721. Give Jamal Crawford a call. Tell him your idea. Let him present it if you can't make it. Again, that number is 617-297-7721. Bring your ideas, baby. How do we curb violence in our city? How do we have these young men and women on a different path? How do we teach them better? What are your ideas? Huge shout out to T. Michael Thomas, the People's Academy. He has a cohort of men and women that are currently in training. It's an 8-week training, and during these 8 weeks, they are learning the skills that it takes in order for them to be coppersmiths. They are getting paid for this training, and they are learning a skill that can never be taken away from them. Gotta put that brother on your show if you haven't already. T. Michael Thomas has been on the show many times. He has done cameos on the show many a times. T. Michael Thomas will call any day of the week and say, Tayla, And then from there, we talk about and discuss the importance of the People's Academy having a organization that teaches the skills that can lead to financial freedom. You can make up to $60 an hour as a coppersmith, sometimes more depending on the project. Oh, Jamal said he don't wake up in the AM. If I interview Jamal, him and I have had many discussions privately. Big up Jamal Crawford, big up Blackstonian.com. Jamal said we're going to have to do that in conference. It's going to have to be pre-recorded because he is not doing the AM. Not happening. So I completely respect that decision. And if I could, I would not be on air bright and early in the AM. It would be definitely a different time. Whew. Hallelujah. There's a article that Didi Delgado, if you don't know Didi Delgado, she is absolutely amazing. She is one of the most dynamic females that I have ever met. She is a writer. She's an author. She is controversial. She says everything that you have ever thought or wanted to say. No filter. And nobody's feelings, like your feelings matter not. Keep it moving, have several seats. And there was a question that she posted last week asking her friends, her white friends, to be specific, asking her white friends to cite specific instances where they felt as if they had an upper hand, where they felt as if they had more of an opportunity. What do you feel your white privilege has afforded you as far as opportunities are concerned? And a lot of them talked about housing and living in a house and their family being homeowners. And the fact that they never had to move. They stayed in the same house from the time they were born to the time that they moved out of their parents' house, and their parents still own the house. They talked about how they attended the same school and grew up with their friends from elementary school. And it made me think about the lack of opportunities. And again, I said this earlier this week, Jay-Z's 444 album, he discusses, or there is a montage of videos of men discussing how they feel about, you know, what it is to be a man and opportunities. And there's an attorney that is talking, and he's talking about when he was in law school, he was unaware that some of the other students were going to the professor's house. He was unaware that some of the other students, you know, had buddy-buddy relationships playing golf with professors and the president of the college. That opportunity wasn't afforded to other students. Verbatim, Didi said last week, I made a status asking white folks to give specific examples of their institutional wealth. By far, the number one example of white generational wealth was home ownership and or lifelong stable housing, with several people saying they never once had to move during childhood. This is a foreign experience to many black and non-black people of color who are often at the whim of their landlords, property owners, and housing developers. Housing cost, rent payments in particular, use up the majority of our resources and our means of sustaining white supremacy and subjugating families of color for generations. With that being said, she has an awesome article that is currently posted on the Wake Up with TaylaAndre page, as well as TaylaAndre, TaylaAndre. If you're not on Facebook, I believe you can still read it. It's called Just As I Suspected, Paying Rent is Racist. So we are coming to the top of the hour, and Power Hour is Freaky Friday. Y'all, I know y'all ready for this. Like, okay, Tayla, we don't want to learn anymore. Stop educating us. We want to get into Freaky Friday, but I would like to say one last time, in a bid to save $5 million, the city schools will slice bus routes. This was an effort that was working with MIT and the city put together this, how can we cut this amount of money? $5 million also cuts bus drivers. It also takes away from the bus monitors. And some children from different schools will be on different buses. And if you know anything about these streets, like I know something about these streets, some of these children don't need to be on other buses with children that they don't go to school with. So this was in the Boston Globe. As far as the story, in a bid to save $5 million, the city schools will slice the bus routes. But MIT, when they were crunching the numbers, they didn't take into the account the community itself and some of the relationships that communities don't have with each other. They didn't take into account gang violence. They didn't, there was a lot missing out of this conversation. So 311 is your best friend. Call 311 and tell them how you feel. VCR said, keep dropping them jewels. Many of us need that. Thank you, VCR. Love and appreciate you. What I would like to do is introduce you to a man that broke barriers. He opened the door for conversations that nobody wanted to have. His name is J.L. King. He is a New York Times best-selling author who is one of the most recognized Black authors in the world about sexuality and men. He is also a playwright of 9 stage plays, a publisher, a motivational speaker, a clothing designer, a brand, a marketing guru, and a celebrity. Please put your hands together, and if you aren't already, put your right hand up. Go ahead and show some love for J.L. King, New York Times best-selling author of On the Down Low. And he is going to give us a little bit of an exclusive because he's coming out with it On the Down Low too. Good rising, King. How are you?
I love that introduction. Oh my God. Can you record that for me and let me use that for when I start my book tour, please?
Absolutely. Yes, sirree. We record all of our shows here at Wake Up with TaylaAndre, and you will definitely be able to have access to that.
Thank you so much. So good to be up early, bright, to be on your show this morning. I'm beginning to start my media tour before the actual book tour starts in mid-August. So thank you so much for this invite, and I'm excited.
I'm excited as well because you were actually on the New York best-selling authors list for 30 consecutive weeks. This is one of the reasons that you are one of the most recognized Black authors in the world. 30 consecutive weeks on being on the top 10 New York best-selling list. How did that feel?
It still is kind of unreal when I look back at the list. I got the list hung on my office wall. So yeah, it feels good. It feels good that my message was reached to so many people globally, and it's still selling, and it's still. That first book, Still a Hot Book, is required reading in 15 universities. It's been translated to 34 languages. It's just amazing. People still recognize me. That book's 14 years old in May of this year. So to have that type of staying power and because of the message of it, it makes me feel really good, really proud of myself. Yes.
Thank you for that. So I know, we're a Caribbean station, and one of the first things is just me not want to listen to nobody boy. One of the things that you may not know, listeners, is 34% of men in Jamaica that sleep with men also sleep with women. 34%. That's 33 and a third. Just like lawyers take, that's a huge percentage. And I know this is an uncomfortable conversation for many of my West Indian men and women, but I think it is a much needed conversation when it comes to men on the down low. And what does that look like with men in female heterosexual relationships that are engaging in quote unquote at-risk behaviors with other men? From your experience, what would you say, we have a stereotype, right? That West Indian men don't engage in that type of behavior. Black men don't engage in that type of behavior. But as far as statistics are concerned, how many men actually sleep with men while in heterosexual relationships?
Okay, we can't quantitate it because men who lived up alive, they don't reveal that information, so it's hard to capture those numbers. And I've been asked that question a million times, how many and stuff. You can't quantitate it, but I do know from personal experience as well as from my colleagues, my friends, my boys, that I'm even surprised at men that I meet or I know that mess around. I'm even surprised. I'm supposed to be the king of this, to understand this behavior. I know there are a lot of Caribbean men. I live in Atlanta and I live in Brooklyn. So in both cities wherever I spend time at, I know so many Jamaican men and so many men from the Caribbean that have this and live double lives. I mean, a lot of African men as well. And I just got an email last night from a young brother at 21 years old who was sharing with me how he had been having sex with a married Nigerian, and he's Nigerian, and how the Nigerian older guy was now dissing him and not wanting to be bothered with him. He was really upset the way he was used physically. So the behavior does impact not only, again, men of color, but also white men and Latino men as well. I never have put the finger on just one race of people. This is not just an African American or Caribbean or a Latino behavior. It impacts, there are men in all nationalities who live this double life. But the Caribbean man, that's really touchy because, again, you be killed, you be hurt. They should bring it up. They're very uncomfortable to talk about it. But I have a lot of Jamaican friends who are gay or bisexual or live double lives. I have a lot of buddies who are from the various islands in the Caribbean, and they, because of the fear, because of homophobia, because of being ostracized, because of being rejected, they refuse to ever, admit it. And they know how to get around and how to sneak behind their woman's back, and they know how to maintain that image when they're with their family, with their friends. But yeah, there are a lot of Caribbean men who live this double life. And I feel sorry for a lot of the Caribbean women because they have brought into the thing that our men don't do that, and our men never would do that. Our men are not gay. Our men, our baddie boys, they don't do that. And because as long as the women believe that and stand up for it, men who live double lives, then they can get away with it. And I'm just saying from personal experience of how many Jamaican guys I know. I know the first time I did a tour, I was invited to come to Kingston to be part of a radio talk show about sexuality, but because of the fear my staff had, and as far as what the radio station was receiving from the folks there, I couldn't go. So they had to fly the talk show host from Kingston over to New York City, where I had to do the interview with her there because they were so afraid of my life of going over to Jamaica.
Wow, that's scary. Have you or do you receive forms of hate mail because you have taken a conversation that is very taboo and many years ago, over a decade ago, made it very public. So for those men that were living the down low life and were able to hide it from their families, able to hide it, and then the families read the book and like, hold on, I'm looking at you side-eye now because you might, you sound like this book. And has anybody came out and, as far as like physically or verbally assaulted or harassed you?
Oh, yeah, always, from day one, even before the book hit the stores. Even when I was on Oprah the first time, I've been on her show 3 times. The first time I was on her show, and the word spread like fire. Of course, the hate mail, this is before Facebook, this is before social media. 14 years ago, we didn't have Facebook or Instagram, Snapchat, or Twitter. So can you imagine what it was been like? Wow. So no, yeah, even before social media hit, I did get a lot of email, a lot of hate. I had the bodyguards that used to travel with me because of the death threats. I was probably one of the most hated black men in the world. Not from men who were living life, but they maintained quiet. They was very quiet. Of course, they couldn't speak up because they would put some light on them, but they definitely expressed to me via emails how much they despise me, hate me, how dare you even bring this up. So my girlfriend, my wife now, is asking me questions about my sexuality and what I do. A lot of gay men, which I didn't talk about gay men, but a lot of gay men, they were angry because they thought I was outing them. I wasn't outing anybody. I was just talking about my own life. because I have a daughter and a lot of play daughters and a lot of cousins and nieces and nephews as well. And I just didn't want them to be in a relationship that could cause them to be infected with HIV or any STDs. I was concerned more about my daughter. I didn't do this to out nobody. I didn't out no celebrities. I talked about my own life, and I talked about the behavior. So I wanted women to realize that they should not continue to play like they don't know something's not right in their home, because too many women were getting infected with HIV. Too many women were getting STDs, from herpes, the gonorrhea, and they didn't understand why, because they were not sleeping around. Too many of them men were HIV positive, not telling them. So I was sick of all that, and I knew that someone in the community of color needed to step up and say, "Hey, hold up a minute. We need to take a look at this," and that's why I did it. But yeah, it did piss off a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, I know there are some people that were thankful that you came out, because as a married man, you finally made them feel comfortable enough in their sexuality where they could come out. Do you have any experiences of people actually being grateful and thankful for your book?
Oh my God, I think more of those than more of the haters of women. I mean, I've got probably 100,000 emails, 100,000, even to this very day, 14 years later, I still get emails of respect. I get emails of thank you, emails from parents, emails from young brothers who came out because of me, emails from men who were living a double life, who said thank you for pushing me out of the closet, per se. Emails from women, oh my God, lots of women from around the world, from Germany to Cape Town, to Jamaica to the Barbados, who have said thank you so much for putting a light on this. That's why I've got so many awards. That's why the book is still selling. That's why I decided to write this book too. This book too was because of the demand. I never wanted to write a book too. I was so over it. But women and men kept saying, please write another book. And I wrote the book because of a new generation of young people who were young when the first book came out. They were maybe 10 years old. Now they're 24. They might have been 9 years old. Now they're 23. They're dating. They're in college. They're college grads. And they need to know, because HIV is still impacting our people. It's still a lot of women, a lot of young girls are still in relationships with men and boys that are lying about who they are and putting themselves at risk. That's the only reason I wrote DL2, because I was asked to.
Wow. Okay, because you were asked to. You have written many other books as well. What inspired you to be an author, and what was your profession prior to being a writer?
Oh my God, I never. It's funny, we talk to my children and my cousins and the people I grew up with. They would laugh when they say he is an author, a writer. They never thought that would ever happen. I never thought I would ever be a writer, because it was not something I wanted to do. I was in marketing and branding. I worked in corporate America for years before I wrote a book. My degree is in marketing. That's what I love to do. I worked as a parole officer in prison. I've done so many other things that are totally different from my life today. So that's when people said, "Do you want?" No, I did not want to be a writer. No, never. And I've written 18 books now because my life changed. But prior to becoming an author, I was in corporate America.
So in your book, you talk about the difference of a gay man and a bisexual man. And for most of society, that's really difficult for us to process, because if you're a man that has sex with other men, you're gay, period. But you believe that, there's a complete and total difference between a gay man and a bisexual man. Can you tell us that difference?
Yeah, and that is so true. Thank you for bringing that up. A homosexual, let's forget the word gay. A homosexual man is a man who only enjoys, for the most part, or desires sexual relationships with other men. A homosexual. He has a homosexual, aka gay. They never, for them to think about having sex with a woman is something that is not even in their blood. They can't even, that turns them off. A lot of my gay homosexual friends, they are turned off by the thought of having sex with a woman. They hate it, not something they're trying to do. A bisexual man, they can enjoy sex with, because I'm bisexual, they can enjoy sex with both men and women equally. They can lay down, or we can lay down with a woman and enjoy her body and everything about her, and enjoy it like a heterosexual man can. As well, can lay down and have sex with a man and enjoy him equally. So when a bisexual man says, I'm not gay, then he's saying to you, I have sex with women too. But in the community of color, whether Caribbean or African American or Latino even, if you have sex with men, then you are gay. Forget the fact you have sex with a woman too, you're just gay. And because of that, that causes a lot of women to be fooled because they say, my man ain't gay. Because my man
ain't bisexual.
He's home every night, but girl, but he's having sex with men too. No, he's not gay, because he's not claiming to be gay, but he's bisexual. Understand that and embrace that. I have gotten into a lot of arguments with people about that term. He's gay. He's gay. He's having sex with men. He's gay. Okay, if you're comfortable saying that, but when you say that, all the gay men who don't have sex with women, who are not lying to women, then you make them the bad guy because you're calling men who have sex with men and women gay. So I try to just keep people to understand there is a difference, and you're hurting and you're blaming gay men when you call bisexual men gay. I know it sounds kind of confusing, but it's really kind of simple.
Okay, I got you. I understand it. But in the book, you discuss how you grew up in the church, you were a God-fearing man. How did your religion, and living in the closet for 30 plus years, living on the down low, how did your religion play a role into you coming out, or how did your religion hinder or help you coming out?
My religion hurt me and kept me in the closet per se because of hearing the sermons and hearing the pastor say every Sunday or once a month about homosexuality is an abomination and you're going to hell and you're going to burn and God did not make you and God did not create that evil spirit. Even
dolphins are gay.
Today,
dolphins are bisexual.
Say that every Sunday to all men in their church who won't come out because they don't want to go to hell because of what the pastor says. And I went through that for years, just struggling with my faith, struggling with if what I was doing was a sin, struggling with not trying to please God and living and being a righteous man. I dealt with that for most of my life. And then I got to a place where I realized that God made me, He loves me. I did not ask to be this way. I did not choose this behavior. I did not want to be this way. And I knew I was this way when I was in the third grade. When I was 10 years old, I knew I had an attraction for boys, my friends. I did. I had that. So at 10 years old or 9 years old, well, you don't even know what sex is, but yet you knew that you had this. I liked my little boy friend, the guy who I was in elementary school with. So I knew that I did not choose this, and God made me. So I had to get to a place where I had to stop listening to those pastors and preachers who would try to make me feel less than a man and tell me that God did not love me and God did not make me and God will send me to hell. I had to leave those type of churches and find my own understanding of who God is and what God is.
All you're getting. Hey, Tracy.
So once I got over that hump, I was able to accept who I am and just try to live my life as the best man I could be. Not try to deal with my sexuality. God made me. It's more than my sexuality that will make me a good man. So I focused more on that, and I was able to move ahead and be able to tell other men who are beat up in the church all the time that don't listen to that. You know who God is. Have a personal relationship. God made you. He loves you. He's not going to send you to hell because of something you did not choose.
And I just wanted to throw out there that dolphins are bisexual. And it's not because of the hormones they eat or what's on TV or they just try to experiment. Dolphins are bisexual. Don't believe me? Go read. In coming out, what did your wife say? What did your children say? Like, as a father, how did your children feel about this? And what are their reactions today? Like, 14 years later, how does your ex-wife feel, and what type of relationship do you two have? What type of relationship do you have with your daughter?
Oh my God, my ex-wife is my best friend. She lives in D.C. She's remarried. She loves me. We get together, my family get together. My daughter, who's a school teacher in D.C., she loves me. I'm her biggest. She's my biggest fan. She supports me. My sons, my grandson now lives in Brooklyn. My children love me. When we get together, it's not down low, alter JOK. It's daddy. You know what I'm saying? And they went through it with me. They were young. They were in college when I first came out, and they had to deal with being the children of the down low father, the down low man. They had to deal with that. They were strong, and they hung in there with me, and it was hard on them at first. It was hard on my ex-wife. She was hurting. She was all of a sudden thrown in the spotlight as being the ex-wife of this man. So she took it hard, but she forgave me. She told me, hey, I love you, but I'm not going to be caught up in your mess. I just talked to her yesterday. We're good friends, her husband and I, we're cool. You know, so we are about family now. We're not about the past. We live in the present. But it was very hard on her, very hard. She supports the new book. I dedicate the new book to her because she's still my right arm, and she's still the person that helps me do what I do.
Do you believe that there's any way that you could have remained married to your ex-wife? Is there any way that relationship could have worked with you being a bisexual man?
Yes, it could have. If you would ask her, she would tell you. If he had gave me a chance or asked me or not take my power from me, we might could have worked it out. And yes, I do believe
Ladies!
that. Because I was so afraid, and my parents were, I was afraid to cross the board of everything. I decided to sneak instead of bringing it to her and saying, this is how I'm living, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I'm suffering with. What can we do together? Instead, I took the power away from her. I just talked to a couple weeks ago who the man told the woman, his wife, that he was having sex with men and that he didn't really want to continue to lie to her, and he wanted to leave the marriage and walk away because he didn't want to hurt her. She told him, no, we will work through this. We will sit down, we'll get therapy, counseling, tell me what I need to do to help you, support you, and we're not going to end our marriage and destroy the lives of our 4 children. We're going to make this happen. So yes, I believe that if a woman is open and she understands the struggle, the internal struggle, they can make it work. It may not be a sexual relationship. It may be something where they, love each other, but they don't want to have maybe sex together. I know a lot of couples like that. A lot of them.
Hold on. You're telling me that there is an entire community of women that are married to men that don't have sex with their husbands because their husbands are down low. Where is their sexual pleasure coming from?
They through other means. There's other ways you get sexual pleasure now without physical. And then you can still have physical connection with your bisexual man, but you understand what you're going through. Maybe you're practicing a safer sex. Maybe you're using condoms when you shouldn't have to. I'm telling you, sis, I know so many women and men who have open relationships like that. I'm in Brooklyn. I live in the Fort Greene area of Brooklyn. When I'm there, I know a lot of couples where he has a guy and she has a girl, and they still maintain a relationship. I know so many. Sexuality has changed so much, and you begin to learn that a lot of couples, what they do behind closed doors, it really blows your mind.
Ladies, could you imagine? Please give me a call, inbox me. Could you imagine could you be the one to have a sexual relationship with your man, with your boyfriend, with your husband, and he has sexual relationships with other men, but you guys are best friends because you talk about how your wife was the love of your life, and when you guys met, you guys just knew, and you still love her today. I do believe in twin flames, and I do believe in soulmates, and necessarily soulmates don't mean husband-wife. It could be somebody that you're just soul connected to, soul ties. But I am interested in whether or not these ladies believe that they could be one of the ones to say, you know what, honey, I'll have a girlfriend, you have a boyfriend, and we'll still be married. Let me ask you a question. During the time that you were cheating on your wife with a man. not with a woman. At any point in time, did you feel as if you weren't cheating because it was sex with a man?
Yep, sometimes I did feel that way. Again, it was sometimes more than one man. Because of my high sex drive, because of me being, I think, a sexual addict, I would have more than one man. When I was married for 8 years, it was more than one man. It was several men. And a lot of the men were men in my church. A lot of other men I was sleeping were married as well. A lot of them had wives that were friends of me and my wife. And a lot of them were just guys who I met at work or at the Starbucks or at the gym who also had wives or girlfriends. So we would get together and do our thing. It was that type of high sex drive. But let me go back to a point you made earlier, is that in the new book, I talk about there are a lot of couples I've interviewed, and there are a lot of women who talk about their relationships with their down low husbands or boyfriends and why they accept them, as well as women. I interview a sister in the book who is a down low sister. It's the first time I ever got a woman to talk about her down low life and how she has a girlfriend and her husband does not know it. So the book is now opening up a lot of new conversations about how we live our lives and how we should not be judged based on our desires. You'll be surprised at how many young boys, about 13 years old, 12 years old, 14 years old, who have boyfriends and girlfriends. And the girlfriends know.
Hold on. You said 12-year-old? Wait, pause. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old. I'm concerned. Please, let's talk more about this.
Yes, there are a lot of if you look at, there are 13-year-old boys who look like men. You know that is 6'2", 6'6". They're big, and they're sexually active. They are sexually active. My daughter and a lot of my friends who are school teachers and educators, they tell me all the time, there's a 12-year-old student who's having oral sex in the gym. I call them. Or the girls are performing oral sex in the classroom when I step out, and they're 12 years old, they're 13 years old, and they're 14 years old, and they're having sex. Did you read, a month ago, there was a report, I forgot what city it was out of, where the counselor of a high school was having sex with 13, 14, 15-year-olds, and they were having sex with him. And they didn't even know he was HIV positive. So yes, as a parent, you need to realize, again, in the book I talk to parents about, don't think that your 13-year-old son, your 14-year-old son, your 12-year-old daughter is not sexually active. They are sexually, not all of them, but a lot of them are sexually active. A lot of boys at 13, 14 years old have boyfriends. They have boyfriends. They have sex with other boys while they're upstairs and their mother and father think they're playing PlayStation and they're upstairs having sex. So it's very important to me that parents stop being so naive thinking that their 13-year-old son is not sexually active. They need to have a conversation with their children and say, are you having sex? And what type of sex? And are you comfortable in your skin? Are you gay? Have you had sex with a man? Are you having sex with a man? You need to have that conversation with your teenage son. You have to.
Okay, so this conversation will take place today. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you, JL, how much, my soul is piercing right now with questions that, at what point does a parent, as a parent, at what point, I'm at a loss for words. I'm just being honest. I'm so for a loss of words right now to think that these young boys are engaging in this activity and really don't know anything. Don't know as far as health and wellness is concerned. As far as, I don't know. I'm thinking not just diseases, but infections and proper cleaning. And how does a parent have this conversation? Is this something that's in book 2? How does a parent have a conversation with a young boy that's 12 or 13 years old and the father's naive that they're even having sex with girls, let alone starting a conversation about, are you touching boys?
It's in the book. It's in book 2. I had to deal with that because a lot of parents are so naive and they are clueless and they don't want to believe that their 14-year-old or 13-year-old son or daughter is sexually active. I did not make this up. I had talked to so many teachers, educators. I've talked to a lot of young men. There are a lot of gay organizations that support young people. Do you know in your city of Boston, there's so many organizations out there that help young gay men and women deal with their sexuality. And these kids are 16 years old and 15 years old, 14 years old, who are afraid and are put out sometimes by their parents. I met a single mother. She has 4 kids, 4 boys, and her 14-year-old son is gay. And she came home one day, and he was laying in bed with the next-door neighbor, who was 21 years old. And she couldn't believe that her 14-year-old son was laying in bed with the 21-year-old next-door neighbor because she got off work early. And when she confronted him, the son told his mom, I'm gay. I've always been gay. I like boys. You just want me to have a girlfriend. And I told you I had a girlfriend, but I'm not. And she was upset about that. Don't think that your son, who may be perfect in your eyes, who may be this virgin in your eyes, cannot be sexually active. Because he could be. And it would upset me so much when mothers and fathers don't want to even have that conversation with their son. You know your son, you're going to his bedroom. At that age, their bodies are changing. They're masturbating. They're looking at porn. They got access to the internet. There's so much sex on the internet. And if you do not monitor what your children's websites are going to, you are really stupid. That's the only word I can think of. Because you don't think your son has access to porn sites and gay sites and download sites, and they can get what they want by getting online, and you act like they're upstairs doing their homework, then you are stupid. That's the only word I can use. Excuse me, but that's the only word I can use, especially when I meet parents who tell me their son or daughter are HIV positive, or their 14-year-old son got chlamydia or gonorrhea or herpes, and they didn't even know that their 13-year-old
has sex. This is a Freaky Friday I was not expecting.
Really?
So, I have to tell you that this is a tough pill for me to swallow. I am one of those stupid, naive parents that don't want to believe that my son, at 14 years old, is sexually active. I'm like, no, he's playing with action figures. He still plays with action figures. But I get it. Like, it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. In the book, On the Down Low, you talk about how an older man from the church kind of took you under his wing. How can parents, not saying that you personally, but how can parents protect their children from older predators that try to take these young boys under their wing and try and teach them the ropes? But as a parent, I feel like it's a form of, like, how do we protect our children from predators?
Well, they're not in the book. In the book 2, which is what I'm really pushing, is I want parents to understand that you have to educate your son and let him know it's okay if he's gay. It's okay, but don't let no older guy. There's something before 18, and he could be sleeping with a guy who's 18. So that's an older guy. You know what I'm saying? Or he could be going playing basketball at the gym with a dude that's 17. That's an older guy in your eyes. So you have to have that conversation with your son to say, son, look, if any dude is looking at you, touching your butt, or trying to get you to have oral sex, or offering you a few dollars, or want you to smoke some weed, or want to buy you a game, or want to take you out to dinner, or want to go hook up with you after the high school dance, then let me know, because he should not be touching you. Because a lot of times your son at 14, when he's away from mama, and he's in his own environment, there are a lot of guys out there, his friends and colleagues, who are more grown than he is, who come from a more faster background than he is, who are comfortable in their sexuality than he is. So it's easy for a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old to tell your son, let me perform more sex on you, let me suck your thing, and it's okay, we just boys, it's okay, it's going to feel good, man, it's between me and you. It happens all the time. So when your son gets his thing sucked by a 16 or 17-year-old who's a freak, and then your son ain't going to come home and say, Mama, guess what? Joe sucked my thing because it felt good. He's not going to share that with you, but if you tell him, he already knows that he can talk to his mother about everything, then he may come home and say to your mom, the high school principal, the high school basketball coach, or the next door neighbor, or the guy at church asking me about if he can suck my thing. Then he's comfortable talking to you about it versus you going off and acting a fool. He got to have that comfort level with you to talk to you about everything.
So, Ari and I are finna have this conversation. I can't say that because I have an open relationship with my son. We talk, I believe we talk about everything. And, I've thrown it out there to both of my children as far as like being bisexual and heterosexual and homosexual. And I love my children. And I do express to them that, if you decide to go the other way, can I just get a grandchild first? if you decide to be, choose that lifestyle, just let me get a grandchild first. And they're like, Mommy, why is this a conversation? Because my daughter's like, I like boys, not right now, but I will like boys. And my son's like, I like Dominicans and Puerto Ricans with curly hair and big booties. Like, that's not a question whether or not men are something that I'm attracted to, but I don't want to sound, excuse my ignorance, because this is a completely different world. This is a community that I know nothing about. This is a community that, I'm not privy to the knowledge and to the language and to the lingo. I know nothing about this lifestyle of down low men. But in your opinion, you talk about how you were a serviceman and when you went overseas, and that's really how things popped off for you as far as your sexuality is concerned. Do you believe, in your opinion, that servicemen engage in more bisexual or homosexual activity than what is believed?
No, I can't believe that. Again, that's another one of those make believe. If you're in prison, he's having sex. No, it's a lie. I mean, that's a lie that all men go to prison are not having sex with other men. That's a lie. If you're in the military, no, that's a lie that all men go to the military are not having sex with men. I knew before I went in the military. I was in high school. I was in middle school, and I knew that I wanted to have sex with my cousin, who was in my I'm 10 years old. He's 11 years old. We're having sleepovers. We're experimenting. Okay? At 10 years old, I'm sucking his thing, he's sucking my thing. We're 11 years old, and Mom and Daddy are still asleep. We're in the basement playing, let me see yours. I'll see mine, let me see yours.
Yo, I be having mad kids in my house.
It had nothing to do. By the time I became an adult, I already knew what I was attracted to. So, no, it's not about going to prison.
I be having mad kids at my house.
It's not about being in jail. No, it's none of that. None of that.
So, ladies, if your man went to jail, you may not ask him if he's gay or homosexual. You may just want to ask him if he's bisexual. Or, okay. JL, how does a woman who's in a relationship with a man and, let me back up. Metrosexual men that go get manicures and pedicures and dress nice, and they're these beautiful creatures, but they are in heterosexual relationships. But some people might think they're a little, that like waving of the hand. How would a woman with a metrosexual man who just believes that he just likes pedicures because he likes his feet soft, how would a woman find out, or what signs are there? Or you talk about how men on the down low are great actors, and they know how to switch it on and switch it off, and they know how to conduct themselves, so the woman in their life has no clue. You talk about your personal experience. You were a man in the church. You went to church with your wife. You guys had dinner every night. You guys did family events on Sunday. How would a woman who has this amazing man that may be a little metrosexual, find out that he is bisexual?
First of all, I don't want women to be paranoid. Do not start looking and being nosy because you may cause some distrust in the relationship. Just because a man likes to primp and pamper and go to the gym and get his feet done and get his nails done and get his face shows, he may be doing it for his woman. He may want to look good for her. that does not mean anything that he is gay or on the DL or bisexual. He just likes to take care of himself. A lot of women think a man who punches in the mirror all the time, or who likes to take bubble baths, or who likes to go to the gym, work out all the time, that he must be gay. No. In the new book, I talk about that. There's a chapter in the new book that talks about the signs and how a woman really can find out if she wants to, and not look for those obvious things like because she likes to get pedicures and manicures. You're going to destroy a good relationship if you think that your man who likes to look good, maybe for you, it could be gay. So I need for people to read the new book. That's why we write books. We write books to give you the education and acknowledgement and the guides that you need so you can have the answers that you need and not destroy your relationship because you are fearful or you're paranoid. I don't want women to be paranoid. My son, I have two sons. Both my sons are very handsome, very well put together brothers, but they are not gay, they're not bisexual, they are just beautiful brothers who love their women, love them. But a lot of women, you may think that they are, but they're good looking, they take care of themselves, they dress well, but they are as straight can be. And because their wives have asked them, they know, hey, what's up with you? And they would say, oh, I ain't trying to get no guy. You know, but if I did, I'll give you the first one to know, but I ain't trying to do that. If your man is comfortable with his skin, he is not going to be afraid to have that conversation with his girl. He's not going to.
Was there ever a point in time when you were having sex with your wife and you were on the down low that you ever contracted any type of STD or, because men having sex with men and women having sex with women, that is, technically speaking, at-risk behavior. Are there any at-risk behaviors, not at-risk behaviors, were there any results from your at-risk behavior that, consequently hit your marriage? Maybe like any type of diseases or maybe even any type of drama, or, was there a point in time that your wife was in a position like, why would you do this to me? How could you do this to me?
Never, ever, and no diseases, thank God, no drama, thank God, no nothing. She loved me. She loved the ground I walked on because I was good at what I was doing. I had a perfect home, beautiful kids, beautiful family. I had a great job. She had everything. She didn't have to work. We had the perfect all-American, African-American family. We had the perfect all-American family in the suburb. Two good families, very influential parents in the church. We were the perfect family, the perfect young family. She had no clue whatsoever that behind her back I lived a total different life. Never no diseases. Never, ever, never, none of that.
Never, ever.
Because I was good at what I was doing. And most down low men are good at what they do. They know how to cover the tracks. They know how to make her happy. They know how to fool her so she wouldn't even think anything was going on. And I was like that. I was good at what I was doing. Like even today, in the book I talk about all the men. There's so many men I've interviewed in the book who talk about how they get away with it and why their wives don't know. I'm talking about not only 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, I'm talking about 60-year-olds, senior citizens who also are having double lives, who also have a young boy on the side. They're having sex, but they're not having sex with their wife they've been married to for 40 years because they just don't do that. The new book is a must-read. I keep saying that. You have to endorse the new book because the new generation, your colleagues, your peers that are clueless, they need to know that the behavior is still much as active as it is now as it was 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. It's not changed.
So I have to be honest, when you said that there are senior citizens out here, like senior citizen men, AARP men out here, I chuckled. But it is true. There's like elderly couples that are still together and the man has a little boyfriend, a little boy toy, a little 34-year-old, and he's in his 70s. How does one cope with that? How does one deal with that? Like, as a woman, JL, like, as a female, at any point in time, did your wife feel as if, like, was I not enough? Like, how could you do this to me? How could you do this? Like, in the sense of not bringing anything home, but in the sense of living a double life and having me out here looking like a fool, having me out here being in love and loving a man who maybe loved me, but loved men too. Like, how do females cope with that as far as the book is concerned and interviews that you've done with women of men on the down low? How did women cope with the fact of feeling, that the pom-pom wasn't enough, you needed to go out and get a buddy?
That's a good question. And I feel so sorry. Oh, my God. I feel so sorry for women who find out or who don't find out, or they find out too late. And I always say, I have my fan base is women. I always tell my sisters that don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. It was not your fault. There was nothing you could have done. As beautiful as you are, as beautiful as your body is, as great of a homemaker, as great as a mother, as great as a wife that you were to him, as much sex as you gave him, as much of the things you did that you did not want to do for him, and he still had to get sex with a man. Do not blame yourself. And a lot of women, they don't know, they can't grasp that. Their self-esteem, they get very depressed. They go to counseling. They try to change him. They try to talk to him. They question themselves, what's wrong with me? Did I not do this? Should I have done that? Is it my fault? Was I a nagger? Should I get a job? Should I lost weight? Should I perform oral sex more? Should I let him do this to my body? They go through hell trying to figure out what did they do wrong. So my message to them in both books have been, it is not your fault. Do not take ownership. Do not own his stuff, because that's what my ex-wife had to do. She had to come to a place where she said, I am not going to carry his burden. I am not going to blame myself. I did everything I was supposed to do as his wife, as his girlfriend. I did everything, and he still creeped on me. So my message to women is, protect yourself by getting the information, but do not blame yourself if you find yourself in that type of relationship. But at the same time, I would say I feel in my heart, there are more heterosexual men of color than there are men who live double lives. Because my daughter is single. I want her to find a brother. I want her to get married. I want her to settle down and have maybe more grandkids. So I know down black men. I know down men who are straight and who love women, who respect women. And I don't want my sisters to not trust black men, because it's not a black thing. I want my sisters not to enjoy the fruits of being in love and being in a healthy relationship. No, I want you to find a good man that will love you for who you are. But at the same time, I want you to be well-rounded and well-educated about all the different types of men that are out there.
Good rising, grand rising to every single last one of you. I am TaylaAndre. You've been listening to Wake Up with TaylaAndre. We're currently on the line with J.L. King, on the down low, New York Times bestselling author, 30 consecutive weeks. He is one of the most renowned black authors, and I thank you. I thank you for this conversation. This was an eye-opening conversation. We here at Wake Up with TaylaAndre talk about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. And if this ain't an unorthodox conversation on a Caribbean station, I don't know what is. So, JL, I want to say thank you so much. When is the book coming out? Where can we get the book? And is it possible on your book tour for you to be coming to Boston?
I've already been invited to Boston. Yes, I will be coming to Boston. You can order the book starting right now at onthedownload2.com on my website. Right now, I'm on it exclusively. Right now, ordering it and selling it on my website, onthedownload2.com. The book drops officially August the 15th. Sales are coming in like crazy right now. I'm going to be doing a national and international tour. I've already been invited to be on Steve Harvey, The Real, and other national talk shows. So you'll see my face all over the place. But I do want your listeners to go to On The Download 2, order the book. I'm sending out autographed copies of the book once you pre-order it on the website.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We want to give a huge shout out to Nikki Curry, my publicist. She is not cheap, but she is the best. Thank you, Nikki Curry, for this conversation because we need this. Massachusetts is an openly homosexual state. You can get married in the state of Massachusetts if you are homosexual. And so I think in a state where we are more liberal than most, but still very conservative at the same time, this is a conversation that was needed. And I know as far as my Caribbean folks are concerned, you like, Tayla, I'm done. I'm logging off. But I do want you to be aware. I do want you to take a look at the book as far as my ladies are concerned. If you've ever had a question about your man, if you've ever second-guessed certain things, pick up the book, educate yourself. Parents. Recently, Teen Vogue had an article where they were talking about safe sodomy, like how to have anal sex safely. And the whole world, I don't know if you guys remember me reading that report, people blew up. It was like, no, this is unacceptable for you to have this article in a teen magazine. But now having this conversation with J.L. King, On the Down Low author, coming out soon on the Down Low too, I'm starting to understand why Teen Vogue may have made that decision to educate young people on safe sodomy or safe anal sex, because whether we want to believe it or not, whether we want to accept it or not, whether we want to face facts or not, these things are taking place and they are happening. So, JL, is there anything you would like to add before we depart from this amazing interview?
First of all, I want to say this is one of the best interviews I've done so far. Thank you so much for your listeners. I know it was uncomfortable. I know I probably pissed off some people. I know people probably logged off because they didn't want to hear anymore. But when you keep your head buried in the sand, then you have to deal with the end results, which could be a funeral. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We love and appreciate you. And that means a lot to me because my secret mentor is Oprah. And for you to have been interviewed by her 3 times and you say that this is one of the best, I feel so proud.
Yes, you did a good job. Great job. I'm going to listen. How can my friend that follows listen to your show?
Well, I currently have over 500 shows. We are on Mixcloud, SoundCloud, iTunes, and we recently, within the last year, started video recording. So we have over 200 videos on Facebook Live, on my Facebook, TaylaAndre, as well as on YouTube, same name, TaylaAndre. And I thank you for that. Thank you for sharing me with your friends.
Oh, definitely. I want everybody to hear this interview so they can go to your Facebook page and hear this interview.
My Facebook or the YouTube. So Nikki Curry, the best publicist on earth, will have all the links and we'll share it with J.L. King and manager Stacy. And thank you so much, Stacy, for working with Nikki Curry.
Yeah, tell your PR person to make sure she get in contact with Stacy so we can start promoting this interview.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Be blessed.
You as well. Peace and blessings. Good rising, good rises. I know you guys are uncomfortable with that conversation. I know you guys are, you're right. I should have pumped the website. As far as onthedownload2.com. If you're interested in the book, are you interested in J.L. King? It is onthedownload2.com, or you could just head over to TaylaAndre.com and we can get everything situated, everything TaylaAndre, from real estate to radio to everything. Community service, education. We could go down the many list of the many jobs that I have. I want to big up Prestige Cuisine. I can't tell you how excited I am about tonight. Grand opening celebration from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. with free food, door prizes, hosted by Marcus James and Richie Rich, and in the entire Big City family. You guys know how I feel about Prestige Cuisine. Shout out to the owner, Johnson. They're located at 924 Morton Street in Mattapan. Prestige Cuisine's grand opening celebration. Some of the best jerk chicken I've ever had. The kids say it's their favorite place to get beef patties. I am in love with the red snapper. There's a lot of things I'm in love with when it comes to prestige cuisine, but you have to go and try it for yourself. And if you've never had Nigerian jollof rice, you have to taste it. And you'll be able to do so tonight for free, because it's free food, door prizes, ribbon cutting ceremony, 7 p.m., 9 p.m., today, tonight, 924 Morton Street in Mattapan. I hope to see you there. I love prestige cuisine. You know, I was in Faith Naturals all day yesterday. Shout out to the Yoni Steam. I love the Yoni Steam. It just fills you up with all of this magnificence. You come off feeling like you just got a pum-pum facial, y'all. It feels great for the soul, and I promise if you've never had a Yoni Steam before, you will get a Yoni Steam as often as you get your manicure, pedicure, or your hair done. That's how dope it is. It really, like, makes me feel like a natural woman. My singing is horrible. I'm sorry. That was hard. But you do. You feel like a natural woman. Faith Naturals is located at 66A South Street, and you can find her online. Faith is with an S, Naturals with an S, beauty.com. Do not forget, I want to remind you once again that we are having the African American, it sounds so crazy, doesn't it? It's Black Guns Matter, Boston edition. African American Firearm Safety Course. We are taking the first 50 people. It's going to be very one-on-one. I am not teaching because I'm not the teacher, but shout out to Solomon Firearms Training, LLC. Shout out to Firearm Fred, 617-293-1011. Shout out to Doncor, because Doncor is also a trainer now. So I just love seeing all of these black men training other people of color to get their LTC, their license to carry. We will be meeting at the Lower Mills Lodge on Washington Street in Dorchester from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It is an all-day event, and it's because we are actually conducting a training. You're not just coming in and learning about the laws. You are coming in, preparing yourself to walk out with your paperwork to receive your LTC license, your license to carry. If you already went for your license to carry and you were denied a no restrictions license, I need you to know that COM2A, Commonwealth Second Amendment, is what it stands for. COM2A is an organization out here helping people fight against the machine that doesn't want you to have your unrestricted license to carry. So don't think you're out here by yourself. You are not. There's organizations out here fighting on your behalf. There's Solomon Firearms fighting on your behalf. Doncor fighting on your behalf. Firearm Fred fighting on your behalf. You are not in this alone. Let's do it. Let's get it together. Baby, you can do it. Take your time. Do it right. Shout out to Nikki Curry, the best publicist on earth. She ain't cheap, but she is the best. And shout out to Stacy, J.L. King's publicist as well, for making today possible. And I feel really, I told y'all I was in my feelings. I told you I was feeling some type of way, and that my baby said this is one of the best interviews, and that makes me feel absolutely amazing. Freaky Friday, waking up with TaylaAndre, Big City 101.3 FM. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I'm going to have open houses all weekend long. If you know somebody who is looking to buy or sell any property, somebody who's looking for commercial property so they can start their business, 617-459-0041. That is my personal number, baby. Feel free to give me a call, 617-459-0041. I don't want to help you with rentals. I want to help you get your credit intact. I want to help you repair your credit so you can become a homeowner. I'm not focused on rentals, because if you do the math, if you pay $1,800 a month for 5 years, you could have damn near bought a house. If you've been living in your apartment for 10 years, you could have bought 2 houses, had a rental property. There is no reason, if you are a full-time worker and you bust your ass every single day and you're bringing home money and you're paying rent, you could be a homeowner, baby. You could go from paying $2,100 for your 3-4 bedroom to paying $1,200 for your house with a front yard and a backyard. And I was fighting so hard for us to be homeowners in Boston. But the truth of the matter is, if we can't afford to live in Boston, I want us to be homeowners, period. Because the way the cycle works, they're going to be leaving the city soon anyways. Like they always do. And then try and come back. And then leave again. So buy your house, baby. Fix your credit. Shout out to Smart Start Financial. They're the company that we work with. Greg Cherubin works with them for realty to make sure that your credit is on fleek so you can be a homeowner. The higher your credit, the lower your interest rates. That's for houses. That's for cars. That's for credit cards. The higher your credit, the lower your interest rate. That's where they get you. What's more important than throwing money at strippers? Credit. Let's get it right, baby. I love you. I appreciate you. Mwah.
That's right, baby. You know what it is? It's DJ Sus1, the feature presentation. Listen, make sure you wake up with TaylaAndre Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 a.m. on Big City 101.3 FM. Wake up with the Radio Rebel. Politics, news, conspiracies. Wake up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness.
That type of shit I'm into.
Right? Make sure you tune in. Let's go.
What's going on, y'all? It's your girl, Lady Luck, and you are now tuned in to Big City, right here on 101.3, with my homegirl, my buddy, my friend, TaylaAndre, Boston's #1 talk show. Keep it locked.
The #1 talk show. Keep it locked. I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed today's uncomfortable conversation. I know my West Indians are like, nah, but not fuck with Batty boy them. So I get it, I know it, I understand it, but the truth of the matter is, we have young boys out here that are touching, licking, sucking on other young boys, and whether we want to have this conversation or not, it is so important for us to be uncomfortable and to talk to our children and to inform them. I don't know if you guys remember the conversation when the kids were in the building. I had like 5 kids in the building, and Anari and Asaria, Olivia, Devon, Amaya, they were all here, and we had a kids edition, Kids Corner, that show where Asaria, 11 years old, was talking about how one of her friends were being called bisexual, and I'm like, hold on, pause. They were talking about she's a lesbian, and I'm like, you're 11, you're in the 5th grade, why is this a real conversation? And the truth of the matter is, whether or not we want to believe it, these are conversations that our children are having. This is what's going on in our children's lives. So you can either be engaged and involved, or you can go ahead and put your head in the sand and your ass in the air, pun intended, and play the dummy. I'm finna call Anari right now. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Mwah!